Wow.
Wow, this is some really deep stuff.
I don't know what just happened, but something happened inside of me. Something snapped. Something.
I wasn't expecting that
either. Sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. It's beautiful.
Monster is like really small, but it had to become that to stop me.
And then the hurt child became present when you mentioned it.
And I didn't realize this until now.
There were things that I didn't remember until now.
It's funny. I haven't seen that before.
And it feels like I'm the monster. I'm kind of seeing images of things. Of a world where they can exist. This clarity brings all kinds of answers.
It's clear. She hugged me and then went back to her place, I guess, in my heart. Oh, it wants to come out. It wants to bippity boppity boop Cinderella me. She's melted into my chest. It's ooey gooey.
All week been finishing things, cleaning up more, started eating vegetables again last week. And it kind of just started happening. It's almost like I just finished going through a meditation session.
I feel light. When you hit that first joint, in the morning, and
I actually feel a lot more awake.
Okay. So yeah, we can start wherever you'd like.
So the thing that I'd like to work on, so I think the reason that I've really been the issue I think that I was most hoping to work on with IFS was a bit of a nothing super serious, but I have a bit of a internet addiction, or at least some internet escapism tendencies.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that they happen usually about midday, which is interesting. They not so much in the morning, although sometimes, not so much in the evening, but sometimes, but mostly midday around lunchtime, around that kind of
siesta time, I call it.
Yeah, siesta time. That's when I really want to turn to the internet, turn to YouTube in particular. And so that's something I've been trying. I've been wanting to habit. I've just been wanting to kick for a while because I find it, at least part of me thinks it's a waste of time.
Yes.
So what I've found is I definitely have, I have a manager or a kind of like a scheduler part. I think a manager part who tries to just keep a schedule. And it's kind of polarized with this, the part that makes me watch YouTube, turn to the internet.
Yeah.
And I've been paying more and more attention and trying to get to know this, this part that wants me to turn to the internet. And I found that it's kind of like, it kind of, especially at first, feels like a very soothing, like almost like blanket, like a warmth, like a comfort. It's like that type of escapism where I think what I definitely have felt, and I'll get into this more in a second, is that there's an exile that really starts crying out about midday when I have that siesta time. And this firefighter seems to try to subdue it with the internet. What I find really interesting is I've noticed that it's not, and this is what seems to make the addiction, seems to give power to the addiction, is the fact that it's not perfectly effective. It only works for about 5 minutes, and then from then on, I'm kind of looking for that hit. I'm looking for that video that's gonna really comfort me and kind of make that exile kind of shut up.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I feel now. I think that I've been trying to talk to the exile, but I think that this part is not comfortable with me doing that. And I've been trying to befriend it. And I think for today, I'd either like to just continue befriending that part. And if it's okay with it, maybe talking to the exile. But
Great.
I will tell you that I had an experience. I took an edible. I took probably too much. And I think it was interesting. I think I really, really blended with the exile. And I became this terrified child, like, just afraid. It was at night and I had taken this edible and it was,
is this marijuana edible?
Yes.
Just
marijuana.
so I understand. Got it.
It was like, everything was terrifying. It was like, it was silly things too. Like, I don't think I have it in me to brush my teeth. Is that bad? Is this going to ruin everything that I haven't brushed my teeth tonight? Like, things like, I'm staying up because, my thoughts racing. I have these thought loops. Is this going to ruin my whole week? Is something bad going to happen because I can't go to sleep at the time I normally go to sleep at? These kind of very like, everything seemed like I was doing it for the first time and everything just felt terrifying. So I have a hunch that this is kind of what I'm being protected from.
Okay.
But I haven't really been able to talk to it.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's kind of my background at this point.
All right. Interesting. Well, you have a really great map of these parts, and it sounds like you have them identified accurately, and you want to, the next steps all sound logical to me. So I'm on board. Yeah, we can talk to that part that feels like it's addicted, the addicted part.
Yeah, I found it. I can. It's here.
Okay, where in or around your body?
It seems to be on my right side. Kind of maybe behind me, in me, and it is interesting because it is kind of a kind of, there's something very soothing about it, which is interesting. I guess with the word firefighter, you imagine it being really exciting, but it wants to soothe.
Yeah. Well, another thing that you could think about, a firefighter, they're putting out a blaze.
Yeah.
They're soothing a burn, kind of. All right. And how are you feeling towards it now?
Are you hearing this? Is that my end? No, I think that's good.
I didn't hear anything.
Oh, I'm hearing some laser sounds, but we'll see.
Is it just when I talk, or is it in general?
It was happening, but it went away. If it's not on your end, it won't be in any recording, so I don't think it's a big deal. But okay, so it's on. Yeah, it's on the right side of my body, and I definitely feel compassionate towards it. I think it's easy to feel compassionate towards it because it's presenting as this very calm force at this point.
Great. Okay, so let it know that you're compassionate towards it. And ask it what it wants you to know, or what it wants you to know about it.
It still says it's nervous about contacting the exile, that it's protecting, but part of it at least is open to it. it says it's a little bit tired of its job.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since it feels like it's gotten so much hate over the years. It's been kind of public enemy number one.
Sure, by those manager parts, right?
Yeah.
Just let it know that you see that.
Mm-hmm.
That you see that other parts speed up on it.
Mm-hmm.
And you could ask what it's afraid would happen if it didn't work so hard.
It's afraid that I would be directionless. I would be.
Is this the comforting firefighter part?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's afraid. It's afraid that I'd just be overwhelmed. I think is mostly it. I mean, it's saying you saw kind of the power of this exile that's underneath the other week when you took those edibles. It was like I was having a breakdown. It doesn't want that to happen again.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, just let it know that you're not going to push past it or ignore any concerns it has, that our work in understanding it and healing it is just as important as getting to exiles. And
it appreciates that. It definitely feels like maybe its concern isn't just for itself. Its concern is for myself or the system. So I guess, yeah, it doesn't seem so worried about itself. It's definitely concerned about me blending with exile.
Right. Yeah, that's what it's protecting you from. So show it some appreciation for that if you can. Its intention. Wants to keep you from being overwhelmed.
I mean, there's definitely a sense of terror that I'm feeling, and I don't know if it's a glimpse of this exile or if it's terror that this part is feeling because just the notion of letting this exile out.
Yeah. They might kind of be one and the same, or if you want to learn more about that, you could just ask this part if it has any insight to that.
Yeah, I guess it does kind of, it's hard for me to figure out exactly where this part begins and the terror ends and the next part begins. I'm not getting your definition of that, but I'm definitely feeling the sense of terror kind of behind my back and my spine.
And are you okay just right now in what you're sensing, that sense of terror that's coming up a little bit? Are you okay with experiencing that as you are right now?
Yeah.
Okay. So just let the part know that so far so good, that you're able to sit with it and see what it has to show you without being overwhelmed. And just that you appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. I think in response, it upped the tear a little bit, which I'm still okay with.
Good. Let it know you're still okay. And I'll just remind you in this part that whatever it shows you, you don't need to share with me. If that's it, if this has any concern around that.
Okay, that's comforting to it.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking for myself, that's one of the mysteries. I feel like when I have explored other exiles, I very much know what it's going to show me. I kind of know the memory it's associated with, but it remains a mystery to me exactly what it's showing me. So it makes it a bit more spooky.
Well, if you're okay with it, I would say just stay with it and let it know you're okay with it, and just stay curious.
Yeah, at this point, I'm just kind of giving it. It's introducing this terror to me, and I'm okay with it. So should I? I guess I'll ask it to show me what it would like to show me. Is that what I should do?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds to me like it's showing you a little more and a little more, and that you're okay with that. So I would continue with that process as long as you're okay with it. And even if it doesn't, even if you're not, shown the pot of gold at the end or whatever we're looking for here, you're still building this trusting relationship with this part to say when you're in this space, when you're in this self energy, you're okay with what it shows you, and you're okay with it not working and reaching for the addictive whatever.
Mm-hmm. I see. I mean, I'm not getting a distinct memory like I've gotten in the past. And honestly, I feel like the terror is subsiding. I feel like it's kind of like maybe this feels like maybe it's built a little bit of trust in me now that I've kind of gone through this and not freaked out. I did feel like almost like glimpses of a kind of a hellish experience, just an terrifying experience. And I mean, this is me speculating. This is coming from a different part, not from it, but like maybe it could be like childbirth experience or like an early childhood experience where I didn't have the tools yet to kind of put it into a mold. But I'm definitely this just absolute kind of chaos.
You might ask this part how old it thinks you are.
Like, I'm just getting 0.
Okay. Yeah. And your hypothesis is entirely possible. It's entirely possible that there was a lot of chaos when you were 0, and this part remembers those feelings and doesn't have a clear way to, express them. It's possible.
And it also makes sense in the context of the kind of trip I had on those edibles, where everything was just, it literally felt like I was doing everything for the first time. And there was just this corresponding sense of just dread. Like, what the heck? Like, what is the, I was washing my feet at one point, just silliest questions. Why am I washing my feet? Like, why do I need to do this? What, just like absolute bewilderment by everything I was doing. And that, I mean, from a purely kind of, like a theory point of view that makes sense.
And why do we do anything that we do? And while we're hypothesizing, we can have terror within us that didn't even occur in our lifetimes. There could be something that happened in previous generations that's kind of baked into our DNA somehow, and we're just afraid of something because we're human. That's possible too.
Yeah. And I'm agnostic about rebirth, but as someone who studies Buddhism, I mean, they would say that this could come from previous lives. So something I'm agnostic about, but it's another theory.
Sure. But I think, whether you had literal previous lives or whether evolution is true, they're kind of the same thing. I mean,
for sure.
So how are you being with this part? I mean, is it responding well to you just sitting with it and appreciating it?
I think there's something very calming and therapeutic about just sitting with it,
Yeah.
There's something to think about, but when I blend with it, I become reactive.
Sure.
But when I'm just sitting with it and kind of opening up that feeling to kind of the infinite capacity of the self, it's like a relief. It's like, it kind of, I feel it and it goes through, that's it. There's not kind of like a limit of how much I feel like I can take, as long as it's effective, and that's very therapeutic, I think.
Yes. Yeah. You're not reacting and you're not judging. Your other parts aren't pushing on it.
Mm-hmm.
You're not pushing it forward to say, okay, let's get to the next thing,
Yeah. And yeah, it is interesting. It's almost like there's something almost like it's, especially I think when you told me to, let it show me what it wants to show me. It was kind of like I was being, it was, there was something like almost visionary about it. There's something about it like I was like sitting down in a chair and beginning to watch a movie, and I was like being transported into kind of this other time, even if it was very indistinct. Just kind of this, it's very, very interesting. So, yeah, I think a lot of this is calming down. I'll ask it if it wants me to show me anything else real quick.
Great.
Yeah, just a little bit more, kind of like, seemed like I heard like a screaming from somewhere and then kind of died away, but I'm mostly feeling like I'm taking deep breath. Like I feel like my breaths are deep and smooth and calm, and I feel like it's like kind of like a little bit of a weight has been taken off my chest.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, I mean, I get a sense it might want me to, I get a sense this part is over for now, at least.
Yeah. Well, I have a couple more questions. I would suggest maybe asking it if you're up for it.
Absolutely.
And one would be, what would it rather be doing with its energy inside of you if it didn't have to work to protect you from this terror?
I think that it would rather be more of a window than a door, if that makes sense. Like it would rather, I mean, and maybe it's just telling me it would just like to relax its role and not have to be a protector so much anymore. But I mean, there was something just very like calming and relieving about what just happened. And I think that perhaps it would like to maybe either stay out of the way or help facilitate that.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think it's a little bit, I think it would need some time to figure out exactly what it would want to do.
And is there anything it wants to suggest now as a way for you to work with it in the future? Is anything, if you are going to kind of hang up and not keep inquiring about it now, is there some way that it would like for you to revisit, or what would it like for you to do in the future?
I do. I think it. I think it gets a sense that this isn't over and that there is more to be explored, and maybe it just wants me to revisit just well, I'm trying to figure out, it could also be another part that's just skeptical that things work in general, like, oh, this isn't going to be a permanent fix, but so let me ask. I think there still seems to be a little bit of a knot in its chest. And I think there is still more to unpack, and it doesn't seem like it's willing to unpack that right now, but it definitely, I think, wants me to unpack it. Like there's still a lot to be explored here, and I definitely don't have the full picture.
And how do you feel about doing that with it? I mean, are you open to that? And do you see yourself doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think absolutely.
Great.
Yeah, I think it definitely wants that. Oh, there's some people talking. I don't know how distracting that is, but Um, okay, sorry, I'm getting back on track. Yeah, it's totally something I'm willing to do, and it's something that it would very much like me to do as well. I mean, yeah, there's something very
Awesome.
comforting and releasing and relieving about it.
Okay. Do you want to check with the other protector, the manager part, and maybe show it some of your work here and see if it has any, I don't know, if it would like to just see that?
Yeah, I think I'm getting a similar message from it, in the sense that it sees the relief, and it's very, I think it's been wanting, I think this manager part is very, it seems very smart, and it recognizes that, I mean, as someone who wants to stick to a schedule, it seems like someone who wants this problem to be resolved, whatever means necessary. So it's happy to see the work, but I think it recognizes that the work's not all the way done. But so it's happy, but it's there's definitely some relief, and it's excited to move forward with this process.
Great, yeah. Yeah, I know for my scheduling manager parts, just scheduling this type of work kind of makes everybody happy for me. It's like, I need to do this work. It's important. And as long as as long as that's on a list somewhere, and I'm not just, breaking my commitments because I want to lay around and daydream, then it's fine.
Yeah, and it seems like a common message I'm getting from, in other sessions I've done with myself, it's a common message I'm getting from other parts, is that there's definitely some skepticism, that especially for managers, that these are kind of like lasting solutions. And I think it makes more sense as lasting solutions for them if it's something that's revisited. Because it seems
absolutely.
Every time I revisit it, it seems like progress is made, and I kind of solidify those changes. But if I don't revisit them, then maybe they have a tendency to want to revert back to their own ways or something.
I mean, those are wise parts. I think they're right. And you think about how long these parts have been doing their job, and how long you've been watching YouTube, or any of these parts have been wanting to keep doing their job, and to have any kind of change in that. It's going to take some time, especially again if you think about it as kind of pathways in the brain, or wherever.
Yeah, habits are hard to break. Yeah, so I think right now there's just like a very, I'm washed over with this sense of peace. Very, very beautiful sense of peace, kind of like the subtle stillness. I guess that's I guess I don't need to intellectualize about that right now, but
it's great.
And so, yeah, I guess I definitely would like to kind of sit. It's just kind of like it seems like a very deep, like meditation state or something. So,
okay.
Maybe
I'm happy to let you go do that. Unless you have any other questions, concerns, any other parts that want to make themselves known now?
Yeah, I don't think I want to unpack anything else right now. Do I? I feel like I had a question. Let me see if it can. So the thing that was puzzling for me, because I think recently I've been studying a lot of the IFS theory right now,
Mm-hmm.
and it wouldn't have occurred to me to ask what I perceived the firefighter. It wouldn't have occurred to me to ask it to show me anything, because I feel like in my kind of like, you know, one month study of IFS, that's something you do for something that's like very explicitly an exile, but obviously it worked very well. So is that something you can do for, I guess maybe, is it because it was showing me some terror? You might as well just say, you know, show me more. What, how, I guess, do you have any,
Yeah. Why that question?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it sounded to me like you had kind of glimpses or feelings of exile energy, but that it's not very, you haven't been like in direct contact with it. You know, you're not really able to place it or whatever. And so we know that these parts, or this part in particular, is trying to protect you from something. And so we're just asking for what that is, to just get more of an outline of that and help you understand what it is that
makes sense,
that motivates it, this fear that motivates it. I also find that when it comes to managers, firefighters, exiles, you know, there's some degree of distinguishing that's important. But fundamentally, I think we're kind of doing the same thing with all of them. We need to understand them all. We need to figure out what they're afraid of. We need to figure out what's not working for them, and we need to make ourselves present to them, so that we can be the resource that they rely on, rather than fighting amongst themselves and pushing for control. And so fundamentally, I think it's kind of the same process, no matter the part.
Yeah. So, okay, that makes sense. Like that makes sense. I mean, I guess like you could see maybe an exile. You want to show the exile that kind of self-love that it exiled from, and you also want to. There's a similarity between that and perhaps maybe when a firefighter is trying to take on or manage all of this pain, when it kind of releases that pain to the self. There's, in both cases, I don't know.
self is the cure. Self is the cure for all of those ailments. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's the same.
Yeah.
And you know, for some people and for some parts, you might spend months working with certain protectors. You know, you might, who knows if you really ever get to how well you get to identify this exile, especially if this is something that happened at age 0. You know, it might always be a little bit, feel like it's a little bit out of reach. And so you might spend tons of time with this part.
Yeah.
And it might have, you know, so many insights, so many answers to your questions. And so that's why there's no bad parts. That's why we, again, kind of just treat them all with that same love.
Yeah. Well, definitely thankful for all of this, and thankful for your work today. And
me too.
Very
Thank you.
Yeah, and I also definitely feel like this is all, you know, helping me, learning how to interact with my parts is also helping me learn how to interact with other people. Kind of this no bad parts attitude can, you know, it seems like apply to larger systems, and it's so powerful. It's so powerful.
Yes, it really is.
Here's to all of it. So yeah, thank you for your help.
Thank you. I hope I get to talk to you again.
Okay, awesome.
Right. Have a good day. Do you want to help bring more self-energy to the world? If you'd like to participate in calls or help out with this project in any way, I'd love to hear your ideas. Join the Discord server or contact me at james@liveifs.com. A huge thanks to our audio engineer, Yvonne, for your care and diligence in editing the calls. To every caller for your courage in sharing some of your parts. And to anyone out there getting to know their internal system, keep going. Who knows? That might be the most selfless, helpful thing you can do for others, and you're the only one who can do it. If you'd like to see us reach the largest audience, we must please the almighty suggestion algorithms at iTunes and YouTube. And they don't care about the power of IFS. They're looking for likes and shares and comments, and the sooner the better. Follow the links in the show notes right here in your podcast player to make your wishes known. And now, a minute of meditation. Or if you prefer, pull over. You can do it in 60 seconds. Just click one of those links. They're right there, and give us a like or a 5-star rating. It would really help. If you think this project is helping people, you're helping people by sharing it. Thank you.